Hi everyone, welcome to a short video using spots and dots as a bit of inspiration to add to your artwork and help you start on your art. Lots of artists have used them in their artwork. For example, I did a portrait recently of Yayoi Kusama, an artist who's absolutely obsessed with polka dots, and I did the portrait and I used she wore a very spotty outfit, and then I just got a few little polka dots in the background there, a bit of texture, used that in the portrait. But if you check her work out, you see she is totally obsessed with polka dots and covers everything with them. So you might want to look at her work to give you some ideas starting your art with her, as a bit of an inspiration. I like to use them in my alcohol ink portraits. So, for example, I did one of Noel Fielding recently. Make sure that's in shot. And I used some blobby spots there in the background and some spots on his bandana there, and used some on the hearts, just to add a bit of interest, bit of texture. So it don't necessarily be the whole painting or drawing that you're doing full of spots, but just to add some interest in there. Another famous artist from history, George Seurat, who invented was part of the Pointillism movement, that basically he was obsessed and used lots of colour theory, very technical way of mixing the dots of colours. So from a distance, his work, I'll try and show this one for you. You probably recognise this one. So if you've ever seen it close up, where's the other one I've got? It's very famous. He uses lots of, I can't find it now, where has it gone? Sure, it was on the next page. There we go. You've probably seen this one too. He has used lots of spots and dots in his artwork to create the images. The whole thing was spots and dots of colour. So there's a more of a close-up one there, and I'll show you another one. He's done the landscapes, so it's not just people. He's got landscapes there, creating this, using the colours to portray a different mood and a different light. So that one, you can see more of a summery day because of the colours that he's used. That more of a evening, or looks more of a colder day, doesn't it, with the choice of colours there on that one. So that's important too. Another piece I did recently using alcohol inks. Again, the spots added a bit of texture in there for the hair, and just a couple of spots in the background just to add a little bit of interest. So again, it doesn't have to be your whole artwork. It can just be a few ideas to add into your artwork, just to make it a little bit different, something to try out, something that you might not have done before. And it's good to look at other people's artwork for some ideas, just to change what you do, just for a little bit of a different inspiration. You probably recognise the one I've done here is very similar to the one I've started here. I've started an outline using watercolour, and then gone in with fountain pen and ink to add in some of the detail. And the image I've used is from this one here. Hope you can see that okay. This lady here, it's vitiligo. She has skin conditions that she has, and it's Vitiligo Awareness Month. It's a autoimmune condition that affects the loss of pigment of the skin. I've got vitiligo. I'm pale skin, doesn't really show up on me. I've got similar eyelashes to her on one side. They're pretty much getting whiter. My vitiligo changes, slowly changing on my face, but it's not that obvious on me. Obviously those with darker skin, it's definitely more noticeable. But I use this image because I like, it's an interesting image as well. And I'm going to use this jewellery here. I thought, well, I can paint the vitiligo. I'm going to add to that, but I'm going to use some spots and dots to recreate the jewellery that she's wearing on her, around her neck there. So I'm going to totally change up what I'm using. I've got some acrylic paints, and it's my birthday recently, so I've got a cork from a bottle I'm going to use to print with. I'm just going to use an end of a pencil, and then I've got I've got a glue stick, and I'm going to use the end of that just for printing, just to use with my acrylic paint. So I've just chosen 3 colours there just to put on there, and I'm just going to print and use that just for something different. I'm going to try it out, and that's why I did this earlier, because I wanted it to dry a little bit before I started sharing the image I want to do. So I'm going to try with some red first, because I've painted the red there. So I'm going to use the bottom of the pencil and just going to tap it on in there, get a bit of paint on there. And it'd be interesting just to go over what I've used here. And I'm not worried if I don't get it exactly the same, but it's just going to try just to add a bit of texture, a bit of interest, using some spots of colour. So if you've got kids, you've probably done this similar thing before, printing with different objects, but it's just something fun to try over the top maybe of your artwork, or to add a little bit of interest, bit of texture, and obviously using different materials is always quite fun to experiment with. So I've not tried this on here before. I'm having a go, so if it goes a bit pear-shaped, you're joining in the experience with me. So I'm going to add a bit of going over the top of these here, and I quite like actually the when it's not quite solid as well, but it's fun to experiment. So if you check out the other, I'll put a comments underneath in the comments the artists that I've mentioned. So if you've not heard of them, or you didn't quite catch what I said, you can have a look at their artwork. Have a look at Pointillism, see what how especially Seurat was very methodical. If you've ever seen his artwork in the National Gallery, there's one that's huge. I couldn't say it in French, I'll probably pronounce it wrong. It's an enormous piece, so it's really interesting to go and look up at it closely and see how he used the colours. So at the moment I'm just using red. I can go over that again, that's okay. I'm not too worried about being precise. Again, you could just use a dot of your paintbrush, but I thought I would try with the bottom of the pencil just to see how it works. So it's going to obviously take me a while to build this up. But I think that's the thing. It's I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm just going to give it a try, and I think that's part of the fun. It's enjoying the process. I'm going to I've just cleaned the end off there. Maybe I could try the rubbering, but I'm just a bit worried that might break off. I'm going to try some yellow now, so I'm going to get a bit of yellow and just put just try. And I have got some gold paint, which I'm going to try later on. I think that will be just to finish off, and I'll share that when I finish this one. I quite like the texture you get from it too. I'm going to work round. It's very different to the watercolour that I've put underneath. A lot bolder. So the artist, I'm hoping I'm saying it correctly, Yayoi Kusama, the lady I mentioned at the start that I do a portrait of her, is obsessed with polka dots. I've seen some, I think I've shared before. She's done some wonderful abstract, vibrant toadstools, mushrooms, whichever one, that she's done with lots of spots and colours. Obviously the nature they have, but she's enjoyed the colours, and I'm really enjoying the textures I'm getting from here. So I'm going to try, I'm just going to put a few more in here, and then I'm going to start, I've kept them the bold colours, but I'm going to try and mix them up a little bit, just so we're not quite so primary colours, and just have a go now. I didn't quite mix up enough. I'm mixing it with the bottom of the pencil. You can see what I'm doing. There we go. So I can imagine if I was doing a 10-foot by 10-foot canvas, it would take an awful long time to complete. I just thought I'd show you the beginnings of this one, and then I'm probably going to continue this tomorrow. I think sadly my phone battery is going to die shortly, so I would do it, and the light's going to change in here. It's getting a bit darker now. I'm just going to just quickly show you how I'm starting. So because that's the whole point of doing these videos, is to help you start off on your art. So you might be interested in some, looking up some more African jewellery, all these wonderful beading. Use that as inspiration. Also Aboriginal art. If you check out Aboriginal art, they are wonderful for using all the spots of colour, and there's some lovely landscapes. There's lots of the wildlife that include the spots in their artwork, so that might be something else you could look at. And the colours that they use, sort of lovely earthy colours on them. I'm quite enjoying the textures we're getting from here. So you can see, just by, not very high tech, mixing it with the bottom of a pencil, but just, letting the paint mix as I'm pressing. But it's just interesting seeing what colours it create as you're going along. Not being too worried about it. So I'm going to just, obviously I need a bit more time adding the detail of the jewellery. I'm just going to try a bit of texture for the hair. So I'm going to use, now if the lady in here, she's got, it looks like she's got a vitiligo in her hair. And darker bits, but it's quite in the quite well lit, that side of her head, so I don't know how dark her hair actually is. We can't see it that clearly, but the light looks like it's making it very lighter than it would be in normal daylight. But I'm going to add, I do need to get a bit of white paint. Bear with me a second. There we go, didn't have that quite ready. We'll just do the hair. So if you've got any questions you'd like to ask me about any artwork that I've done, or anything you'd like to find out a bit more about, then pop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to just start adding. I've got paint on the bottom of my finger. I don't want to start putting that on the page. Happy mistake though. I could probably change that a little bit. I just mapped it out earlier, roughly where I want the hair to go. And again, if I wasn't happy with again, I'm just mixing it on the bottom of the pencil. And if I'm not happy with it later on, I'll just go over the top of it. Can build it up, that's the fun. And again, you can have fun with mixing the colours over the top of one another. Just different way of working, and that's part of the fun, is to have a go. I want this a little bit paler here. So have a go. If you've got a portrait, you could sketch out, you could even put less detail in. I put a bit of colour in the background. You could try that. You could do a line drawing. And I did this one, just a quick draw a line a couple of weeks ago, just as a little warm-up exercise. I could add some colour to that one, just to have a little play around with it and see what, if you did quite pale colours, the black would show through, or you could totally cover up the lines that you've already drawn previously. I quite like the way this, using the acrylic paint, sort of building up the texture of the hair by using just the bottom of a pencil. Something you couldn't necessarily, you could do it with a paintbrush, but it's just another way of creating a different look to the, it's very different to what I've got here. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this one. I hope it helps you start some of your art. That's what this is all about. Give it a like, give it a comment, let me know what you think, and I will be with you again soon with another way of helping you start your art, and I'm hoping you're enjoying it. Well, take care. Thanks for watching.